Some secrets don't begin with intention. They begin in quiet places, hidden corners of a home where the air feels heavier, the silence feels deeper, and the truth becomes impossible to ignore. It was just an attic. Hot. Still. Forgotten. Until one moment, one connection, turned it into something neither of us could walk away from unchanged. This is not just a story about temptation. It's about the kind of silence that pulls people closer, and the heat that makes them forget everything else. Stay with me, because what happened in that attic didn't stay there. There are places in a house that don't belong to everyday life. Rooms that sit quietly above everything else, collecting dust, forgotten memories, and sometimes, things better left untouched. Our attic was one of those places. It was always warmer up there, no matter the season. The kind of heat that clings to your skin and makes you aware of every breath, every movement. My wife hated it. She said it felt suffocating, like the air itself was too heavy to trust. But her mother, she was different. She had moved in with us temporarily. That's what we told ourselves. Just a few weeks, maybe a couple of months at most. She needed space, she said. Time to think. Time to breathe. Funny, considering she spent so much time in the one place where breathing felt hardest. The attic. At first, I didn't think much of it. She'd go up there in the afternoons, sometimes with a book, sometimes with nothing at all. Hours would pass before she came back down, her face slightly flushed, her expression distant, like she had left part of herself behind in that heat. I only went up there once before everything changed. It was late afternoon. The house was quiet. My wife had gone out to run errands, leaving me with a list of things I didn't plan on finishing. I remember hearing something faint from above, movement, maybe. A shift in weight. I told myself I was just checking. That's all it was supposed to be. The attic door creaked. When I opened it, the familiar dry wood groaning under pressure. The heat hit me instantly, thick and unmoving. It smelled faintly of old wood and something softer, something almost personal. Hello? I called out. No answer. I stepped inside, my eyes adjusting slowly to the dim light filtering through the small window near the far wall. And then I saw her. She was sitting near the window, knees drawn slightly inward, her back resting against one of the old storage trunks. She wasn't reading. Wasn't doing anything at all. Just sitting. Lost somewhere far from the room itself. You shouldn't be up here too long, I said, more out of habit than concern. It gets too warm, she interrupted softly. Her voice was calm. Too calm. I nodded. Yeah. She smiled slightly, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Sometimes, she said, people need to feel something intense, just to remind themselves they're still here. I didn't respond. I wasn't sure how to. There was something about the way she said it, like the heat wasn't the reason she came up here. But the excuse. I should have left then. That would have been the right thing to do. Instead, I stepped further into the room. After that day, I started noticing things I hadn't before. The way she moved through the house, not hurried, not distracted, but deliberate. Like she was aware of everything around her, even when she pretended not to be. The way her conversations with my wife stayed light, surface level, never quite touching whatever had brought her here in the first place. And the way her eyes lingered just a second too long whenever we crossed paths. It wasn't obvious. It wasn't inappropriate. But it was there. Subtle. Quiet. Persistent. I told myself I was imagining it. That would have been easier. But then came the second time I went up to the attic. This time I didn't hear anything. I didn't have a reason. I just went. She was there again, in almost the exact same spot. Except this time, she didn't seem surprised to see me. I wondered how long it would take, she said. I frowned slightly. For what? She tilted her head, studying me. For you to come back. There it was again. That calm certainty. I shifted my weight, suddenly aware of how still the air felt around us. I wasn't checking, she finished for me. I didn't answer. She stood slowly, brushing her hands lightly against her dress. The movement was simple, but in that space, it felt amplified. Everything did. You don't have to explain, she said. Not everything needs a reason. That sentence stayed with me. Long after I left the attic that day. Because she was right. Not everything starts with intention. Some things begin with curiosity. And grow into something else entirely. It didn't happen all at once. There was no single moment where everything crossed a line. Just small shifts. Small moments. The kind you can ignore, until you can't anymore. We started talking more. Not openly. Not in ways anyone else would notice. But in passing. In quiet corners of the house. In brief exchanges that carried more meaning than they should have. One evening, the power went out. The house fell into darkness, the kind that feels thicker than it should be. My wife lit candles downstairs, her voice steady as she moved through familiar routines. And somehow, without planning it, I found myself at the attic door again. It was cooler that night. But not by much. She was already there. Of course she was. You always come up here when things feel uncertain, she said. I could say the same about you. She smiled faintly. Maybe that's why we understand it. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was aware. Charged in a way I couldn't fully explain. Do you ever feel like you're living the life you're supposed to, but not the one you actually want? She asked quietly. I hesitated. Then nodded. She didn't look surprised. Most people don't admit that, she said. Most people don't ask, I replied. That made her laugh softly. And something about that sound. It lingered longer than it should have. It was the heat again. Not just the attic. But everything. The tension. The silence. The unspoken weight of everything that had been building between us. We stood closer than before. Not touching. But close enough to feel it. That's the problem with spaces like this, she said softly. They don't let you pretend. I looked at her. Pretend what? That you don't already know what you're doing. The honesty in her voice hit harder than anything else had. Because she was right. We both knew. We had known for a while. The question wasn't if something would happen. It was when. And whether we would stop it. Neither of us moved away. That was the answer. After that night, everything changed. Not outwardly. The house remained the same. My wife never noticed. Or maybe, she chose not to. But something had shifted permanently. The attic became more than just a place. It became a memory. A boundary we had crossed, and could never fully undo. Eventually, she left. Just like she said she would. Packed her things. Smiled. Thanked us for letting her stay. Nothing unusual. Nothing suspicious. But as she walked out the door, she looked at me one last time. Not with regret. Not with guilt. But with understanding. And something else. Something quieter. Some moments aren't meant to last, she said softly. Just to change us. Then she was gone. And the attic? It still sits above everything. Warm. Silent. Holding on to a version of me I can't quite return to. But can never fully forget. Some places don't just hold memories. They hold versions of us we can never fully leave behind. That attic was never just a room. It became a turning point, a quiet space where choices were made, and consequences began. If this story made you feel something, if it made you pause and reflect on how easily boundaries can blur, then you understand its truth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deeply emotional and thought-provoking stories. And tell me in the comments. Do you think some moments are meant to be forgotten, or are they the ones that define us forever? Your answer might reveal more than you expect. Disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction created for entertainment purposes. It explores complex emotional themes and is not intended to promote or justify real-life actions.